Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell, and welcome to Moscow, and welcome to a new shopping centre tour. I'm going to show you around a brand new shopping centre that opened just a few days ago, and I think you might find it a little bit interesting. Where I am in Moscow is a place called Pervomayskaya district, and there's some very typical Russian apartments where we are here. This is a very old part of Moscow. And I'm right here by this intersection just to show all these apartments, and very typical apartments, some a little more modern than others. And then we've got this absolutely brand new shopping center right here. They've actually called it Pervomayskaya Meeting Point rather than saying the word shopping center, which is very interesting. Now, it's been open just a few days, and we're going to go and have a look. One of the nice things about this area is they've got trams running down the main street right here, and they don't actually have any way to get on and off. You literally just have to walk out onto the street and get on the tram. How cool is that? They do actually have a bus shelter, or I guess it's a tram shelter, right by this stop. And they actually have the entire network of the Moscow tram lines on this poster. And I think this is a new initiative because I've not seen this anywhere else. However, you can literally travel most of the inner ring of Moscow on trams. It's really interesting just before I walk inside to see the main road here and all of the very typical Soviet looking apartments. And then they've squeezed the shopping center into this one small area. The actual shopping center is 3 levels, and it's just so out of place a little bit almost. It's really cool to see new shopping centers opening, especially in older districts, and people have more options to spend money and to go to cafes and supermarkets. The opening hours for the shopping center are very normal for Russia, 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. However, they've got extra trading hours for one of the restaurants, the supermarket, and then the fitness center is open from 6 in the morning till midnight. And the other interesting do's and don'ts here on the poster, you can't bring your wine glasses inside. Very interesting. Let's walk on inside now and take a bit of a look around, and let's see what we can discover in this shopping center. So this literally just opened, and I think I've mentioned this in quite a few other videos. When you see balloons, you know that there's some kind of an opening at some point recently, and I think we'll see a few more as I walk around. The actual building where we are standing now used to be a movie theater, or a series of theaters in one building, and then it was completely demolished, and they built this shopping center in its place. And they've done a very good job with the amount of limited square footage that they have for the building. Up on the second level you can actually see the fitness center, and we'll see that a little bit later. And then they have a cafe right here. These are actually all over Russia and all over Moscow, and it's interestingly called French Bakery, and it's not a cafe with a Russian name. And they are very nice bakeries, by the way. Just want to point out the recycling right here. Have you got these where you live? In the shopping centers or in the supermarkets? They've even got it for corks, toothbrushes, and even for plastic cards, where you've got, I'm not sure, old cards or reward cards from the shopping center. So there is a -1 level, and then the first level is where we've walked in, and then there's a level 2 and level 3. So if you're not sure or aware of my channel, I'm an Australian living here in Moscow region. Where I actually live from here is about 60 kilometers in the other direction. However, I make lots of videos of supermarkets, shopping centers, and different interesting things that happen in Moscow. So if you haven't seen the channel before, take a look around and maybe you might find something interesting, and it may change your perspective on Russia. On this street level, they actually have a very nice cafe where you can sit and have lunch and relax and look out to the street. You can see another one of the trams going by right there. I'm really jealous that whoever lives in this area has access to trams right outside their door. Now, the shopping centre itself is called a meeting point, and what they're trying to do is create places where people can come, not just for traditional shopping like clothes and shoes, and they're trying to make these more of a focal point in each district of Moscow and Russia. Have a look. Does anybody recognize Cinnabon? And if they were meant to have left Russia, how did they open this literally in the last few days and are trading here in this shopping center? Of course, this is a very small shopping center for Russia and even for Moscow, but the idea behind the building of these is they're able to build them on a smaller plot of land. They're able to put just basically the essential shops in here, and whoever lives in this district would be the people coming shopping here, and people aren't necessarily going to travel from another area of Moscow like I've done today to come shopping. There's around about 300 shopping centers in Moscow, and there's a new one opening about every month, I think, based on the current statistics. There's an optician's right there, and then there is a hairdresser's. There's actually even a lottery kiosk. You don't see these very often. They're in some of the shopping centers, and I think this is probably one of the more recognizable things for anybody around the world. The key cutting guy, and also he does alterations as well. He does a bit of everything. He's got some phone accessories. He fixes shoes. Very skilled guy to have a little shop in this location. There's some toys. There is a phone cover shop. There is thousands of these in Russia. This is one of many that you can go to. This might be interesting depending on where you live in the world. So this place is called Kitaygorod, or China City, and this is one of the anchor tenants. Of course, this isn't a large shopping center that you're going to see huge stores. However, this essentially is a multi-brand clothing store. It's very hard to explain it in terms of other places because it's not necessarily something like Ross or Marshalls in America. It's got clothes in all sizes in the same choice of product. However, assumably, everything is from China. And I think everything is quite reasonably priced. It's a very big shop as well. Now, I just said as I walked in, it's not very big, but it gets bigger as you walk through. I think there isn't a single shopping center in Russia that doesn't have a perfume shop. And even in my little shopping center where I live, we have one of these stores pretty much exactly like this one and the same size. And all of the very normal perfume and cosmetics and skincare. And again, this place opened 2 weeks ago. And you can see very clearly brands like Clinique, Estee Lauder. I don't know all the brands over there. Jimmy Choo, Kenzo. So they have absolutely everything. And even 2.5 years after a lot of these brands said that they will no longer be in Russia, and you can walk into a shop and get something. One of the things that they do when they open new shopping centers in Russia is they open them essentially as quick as they can when they're finished and completed, but they don't always have every shop and business already trading. And this shopping center is no different. So I'll just point out here a couple of things that you might notice that are a little bit missing. On this second level, they've literally only got a fitness center. However, they put some table tennis and foosball tables right here. and there's a architect's drawing of what the future shops will be here. So a lot of the companies will know the opening date, and they'll do their best to open on the correct opening. However, if they can't, they can't. So you'll end up with this middle part here with lots of empty space. The poster right here showing what they're going to be building, and they're going to have a sports center, basketball, I think actually even for dancing, boxing. So that'll be pretty neat that this whole level will be sports related. Now, for everybody around the world who wants to see beautiful Russian men and women working out, of course, I'm not able to go inside the fitness center and show you that, so you'll have to wait for another video where I can get a little bit better access. And this is a franchise fitness center, which is slowly coming into all shopping centers, and it's becoming very normal to have them in shopping center spaces. Again, it's not about coming here to go traditional clothes shopping and shoe shopping. And the one thing I want to show you, and I want everybody around the world just to take note of the things that you can't bring into the fitness center or into the workout area. Of course, the normal things like a scooter and roller skates. But if someone can explain to me, please, why I can't bring my horse inside, and there has to be a very logical reason why you can't. There must be something I'm missing. And if anybody, perhaps in Russia or somewhere else around the world, can explain it, let me know in the comments. Interestingly, before I came here, I was looking on Yandex Maps or Google Maps for people around the world. And on the third level, it actually said that some of the food court locations were open. And of course, they don't actually allow you to get up there, and they're still finishing off the last parts of it. So there's a food court that'll have around about 25 small cafes, and there's even an outdoor seating area as well, which today probably not the best, but with a nice sunny day, it would be amazing. I'm just curious how they're managing to put their businesses on the map already if it's not even open yet. The other question I have, and this has come up a few times in the comments on my videos about Western companies leaving Russia, and Otis, of course, is a very well-known international manufacturer of escalators and elevators. And this place opened a few days ago, and they've got them actively working here. These are not Russian companies that are producing these, of course. So if someone can explain this to me as well, I'd be very grateful. Another thing I want to ask everybody about is the term 15-minute city. And if you've heard of that before or not, perhaps it's become a thing, perhaps it hasn't. And the idea is to have everything you need for life within 15 minutes of where you live. And the fact that you could perhaps walk there or maybe have a car or not. And this shopping center is a good proof of that, because they literally have one of every shop that you really just need for life. And that's all. I mean, literally where I am in this district, I can walk outside. There is supermarkets literally on the next street, and in the next building. There is a lot of retail in this immediate area, yet new shopping centers are still opening. Right now in the current economic situation around the world, when a new store opens in Russia, they always have balloons. And I've always said this, that the richest man in Russia is the person who is supplying balloons to all of the new stores that open, because I think it's almost customary or historical that you've got to have them. And there's somebody somewhere in Russia making a lot of money selling balloons. And this is actually a pet shop. Of course, in Russia, people have cats and dogs, different animals, and they have pet shops in the shopping centers with all of the possible choices. See, I've never really walked in one before, and I don't have a cat myself. However, there is literally aisles and aisles of choices of food for cats and dogs. Very interesting, just how many choices. They also have at the very back a counter if you need medication for your pet, which is a really nice thing. How nice does this store look? This is DNS, which is an electronics store. Actually, quite famously in Russia, this is more known for computers and parts for computers. You can also buy phones and other small appliances. And this, again, opened a few days ago. And all of the choices. So you can actually come here and buy all of the components for computers. You'll see things like the monitors back here, and then all of the small items if you want to build a computer. And this is what this store is very well known for. We actually have one of these in the shopping center where I live as well. So all of the products are more than available. My wife keeps telling me I need to get one of these lamps for my desk. You can also buy these air conditioning units as well. So they're very well stocked. Now, the thing with DNS, a lot of people shop online for the products and have them either delivered or you can come in store and pick them up. So this is a very typical electronics store, mostly well known for computers though. And then you can even get a kettle if you like. I really hope you're enjoying this walk around. A lot of the original videos on my channel were supermarket tours or shopping center tours. And I really want to continue that tradition on the channel. Of course, I do mix it up and go to other events and show other things here in Moscow, particularly where I live. So I hope you enjoy the channel and these types of videos. One thing I haven't shown very much on videos is pharmacies, or in Russia they call Anteka, and they have them pretty much mostly as standalone businesses. So where you'll see the apartment buildings outside, there'd generally be one in pretty much every building or every second building, and there is no shortage of places where you can come and get drugs and medications, and even things like shampoos and toothpaste. And generally the lady that will work here is a pharmacist, of course, and she can let you know what you need. And they're very nice and very easy to shop in. It's actually a travel agency, and even they've got balloons as well, so they wouldn't have opened too long ago either. So want to go on holiday. There is another clothing store here on the lower level. This is pretty much a fairly generic clothing store. There is a lot of stores in shopping centers in Russia that really aren't more than one or two businesses, and people literally set up their own business. And it's not about the big brands in these smaller shopping centers necessarily. There is a shoe shop here as well. And then I think we need to finish off with a walk around Pervomayskaya. This is a very well-known Russian supermarket. This would also be probably the main anchor tenant of this shopping center as well. One thing I am noticing here, they've got plastic shopping baskets, not the metal ones which you see very traditionally. And of course the hand baskets are the more favored way to shop. And then this is what a Russian typical supermarket looks like. This is more of a full line, larger shopping center supermarket. Have a look, healthy stuff in the entrance. I don't think I've seen that before. Maybe they're trying to convince us to buy and eat things more healthily in Russia, I wonder. And then as we come inside, we'll briefly walk around, I think, because it's not a large shop, and they've definitely got a bit of everything. You can see some nice fresh fish. And then, of course, we're in Russia, we've got to be able to get caviar, and they've got a little mini fridge here for help yourself caviar, refrigerated section, and then this meat section. And then a lot of this is by weight, so you're not buying something that you don't want size-wise, so you let them know exactly what cut of meat or fish you'd like, and they'll serve it to you. Maybe it's a little bit hard to see, but they've got their own small bakery back behind the counter, and lots of in-house prepared bread. Never-ending choices of salamis and meats. And then all of the very classic, normal-looking things in here that you would see. Now, Pervomayskaya is well known throughout Russia, and it's more of a traditional, bigger size supermarket than the smaller ones that I make a lot of videos inside. I was just noticing that they've got a little bit of it closed off. Normally when they open the supermarkets, they haven't got all the documents to allow them to sell alcohol or spirits, particularly things like vodka or whiskey. And I'm sure they'll just be waiting for the final documents to open this area. And this is very normal. So whoever is the person doing the stamping of those documents, they need to get it done a little bit quicker. All of the beer and candy is definitely available though. I like this, they've got the snacks right across from the beer. Very convenient. We've even got some ready meals. The one thing I will say about Pervomayskaya, the brand, is the shops are always beautiful. They're always well stocked. They're always nice and neat and tidy. And I enjoy coming to this kind of supermarket. If you're not aware of my background, I was working in retail since I was 15 years old. I was working in supermarkets in Australia. I was working on cruise ships in retail stores. I was just showing their Mexican orange juice. So this is really my bread and butter when I come to this kind of shop, to come and have a look at some of the things. Schweppes is definitely still in Russia. Arizona iced tea. Now I was just noticing the Coca-Cola from Angola in Africa. And then there is Belarus Coca-Cola and Pepsi as well. So there is a little bit of everything, all from the different countries. Products from Italy right there. So there's not a shortage of imported items, that's an absolute certainty. I think if anyone's from America, you should know this Mexican juice very well. I'm curious where everybody lives in the world. Do you have self-serve coffee in your supermarkets? So there literally is a machine right here, and somebody's getting a coffee. And then if you like, you can buy anything else in the store, and you can do self-checkout of your coffee. And the prices are right here. And you can make your purchase and head on out. There's even tea. There is plastic straws. So if you've given up where you live, you can come to Russia and we've still got plastic straws. And then if you did buy any of the ready food or the stuff from the refrigerators, they've got a microwave right here so you can heat your food up and lunch would be ready. I probably should have mentioned that I'm actually here on Monday afternoon, so I didn't expect really very many shoppers here. Again, this is a smaller regional meeting place, as the name suggests, and a lot of people, of course, in Russia work. I got myself the Coca-Cola, by the way, and I would never expect really many shoppers on a Monday afternoon compared to Saturday and Sunday, which will be traditional days off for most people in Moscow. So if you are going to comment where are all the shoppers, they're probably at work. I think beyond the word 15-minute city and the fact that you can come here and do literally anything that you would need to do at a much larger shopping center, I think I'm going to call this a micro shopping center, especially in terms of other Moscow places you could go shopping at. And how is Cinnabon still here in Russia? Now, the French bakery, they do have very nice cakes in there. I will absolutely recommend to you, if you need somewhere to come and have a cake and coffee, you'll find them a lot in the center of Moscow as well. As I head on outside, I just thought I'd show you one of the trams here. So this is, of course, one of the modern ones. These 3-piece trams with the concertina in the middle. And then if you've made it to the end, you've done it very well. Now hopefully this bus won't block my way. However, there's one of the older trams just behind the bus, right there going by. Well, it's still new, but it's old compared to the modern ones. As I make my way down the street and off on another adventure, I really hope you've enjoyed this walk around of a Russian typical shopping center. Now, I am in Moscow. I completely understand that. However, this type of smaller micro shopping center is opening every month in Russia, in different cities, as far east as Vladivostok, and of course here in Moscow where I live, and even literally where my house is, I can walk 10 minutes to a shopping center very similar to that. Probably mine's a little bit bigger. And these are very much suburban, close to home shopping centers. They've actually called it a meeting place, which I think is very interesting how they're trying to get away from the word shopping center or shopping mall. And I think it's just a great concept that really could be brought all around the world. Build smaller shopping centers in different districts. And then we don't have to drive so far. We don't have to catch public transport so far just to go to a bigger, large shopping center. Everything that I would need was in that shopping center, literally. As I walk down the street and there's shop after shop after shop. Actually, even on both sides of the building there is stores. So I hope you've enjoyed this. And I do use the word typical a lot, but that's really what I would call that shopping center. And if I went 1,000 kilometers from Moscow, we would see something pretty much exactly the same. If I went 4,000 kilometers away, and I know a lot of people keep commenting, go to this city or that city and show me what they look like. And I've got 400 shopping centers here in Moscow to at least show. I am trying to show new ones that are opening now in the current economic climate. In Australia, they're calling it the cost of living crisis, and the fact that places are closing down, yet here in Russia, places are opening. Very old vehicle right here as I walk down the street. I'm not sure what model it is, if someone can recognize it. Yeah, give it a thumbs up if you like the video. Post a comment. Let me know about some of the things that you saw. And if you've made it to the end of the video, tell me that you're a tram fan. And if you write that in the comments, I know you made it to the final part where I showed the trams. I have a link to my Telegram channel right here, and you can click that. And if you want to watch an old video, you can click right here to keep traveling with Russell. Okay, everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.